there's a book and I forget the title, and it's called Talent Is Not Enough.
Yeah.
And I would argue in today's employment market and workplace that your relationships are as valuable or potentially more valuable than your skills and talent.
Absolutely.
And I'll share you something that we talk a lot about when we do public events, and we talk about how do you earn a mentor, how do you earn these relationships. And we as a core value suggest leading with help. And so give before you ask, and then you're more likely to get when you need.
Absolutely. I love that.
So that's kind of been something that I play with. I want to shift gears a little bit, and because some of the folks who've joined us didn't necessarily hear your bio, your story.
Oh, sure.
And I was absolutely moved by the fact that this all started out by something that happened in church, and that is just so culturally Black that I love every inch of it. And I would say that we find a lot of our way because in technology, very often we leave the social economic status of our many of our friends and parents, and those things in those social environments can have a big impact on your professional environment.
Absolutely.
So how you select who you hang out with, where you hang out, what you do, how you show up in after work activities can have a big influence on your career. So making more time, I know it sounds like making more time for work, but you're actually making more time for yourself to build relationships. So I want to go back. My question is, and I'm going to make a comment first. So you've obviously had a very successful corporate life. The number of Black CIOs in America is actually really small. And a sizable number of them are here in Chicago. Chicago is one of the largest populations in the country, believe it or not. Other than a mentor who saw something in you as a young man, how did you get here? You worked at some really big companies. How did you decide when to move from a big company to a small company or back to big companies? What are some of the things that help you to decide where to work? That's really the question.
Yeah. And even today, I would say my primary motivation is the people that I'm working with, the mission of the company that I'm working for, and the work that I'm actually contributing to. Those are really the two main drivers for me. The compensation and the benefits and all of that stuff, that's great, and you have to look out for that, particularly when you got a family and obligations. But for me personally, I have found that those first two things have always led me to the right opportunities. And sometimes when it may be the right opportunity, but not the right opportunity at that moment, right? It's time to move on to the next thing. And again, that self-awareness of, am I really getting fulfilled here? Is this really the right, situation for me is also always going back to that and thinking about that. But I started with United Airlines as a computer programmer, and my aspirations were always more about how do I add value and how do I deliver the right thing for the right people, for my customers in the work that I was doing. Back in the 80s, and maybe it's even a little bit today, 80s, 90s, you'd go to an interview and they'd always say, well, what are your goals? Right. And it's like, well, my goal is I want to be CIO one day, and I want to run a company of X, and, all of these aspirational things are really about, things at the end of the day that don't matter as much. But your goal should be more incremental, in my opinion, right? Where you're looking at, here, what I want to be able to do is I want to solve this business problem. I want to work with people that I can help and I can learn from, right? And that has been a lot of my guideposts. So making the choices from big companies to small companies, great example. I got my first executive seat at cars.com, and Will, you and I worked together there. And that was kind of a mix of a lot of things, right? Right place, right time. I was the VP of technology for one of the elements of what was Classified Ventures then. And so I was running technology for one of the 3 to 4 elements of businesses that Classified Ventures ran. When Classified Ventures collapsed and kind of ended up becoming onlycars.com, they were looking for the right person to run technology for that newly made company that was more singularly focused. And I was at the right place at the right time. I had done all of the right work. I had positioned myself to be the right choice at that time. And that's when I moved into the seat of CIO, CTO. And, that was a good 2.5-year run for me.